Tonight, Monday Morning Quarterback episode 191, we're going to cover 5 mistakes to avoid when doing weekly maintenance. Last week we covered weekly maintenance. We're going to dive a little deeper in depth on 5 things that I've seen commonly overlooked or mistakes made that cause DNFs, and nobody likes DNFs. But before we jump into that, a question that came in was left rear torsion bar rates for a wing sprint car. The question was kind of vague, so I'll just talk about that topic real brief. Typically, we would run positive bar split on our shorter tracks, tighter corners. The bigger the tracks, the flatter corners. Usually, most guys are running paired up bars in the back, so same rate left rear, right rear, although the right rear would be a slightly stiffer rate because the arm's shorter. And then there are some guys that will run reverse split, which is a bigger left rear bar than right rear bar. And again, that gets you to a pretty even spring rate left rear to right rear. So as far as actual rate, really depends on where you're racing, but most guys are like 975 to 1025 in there. With all the half bar sizes now, there's several rates in that window. So if you were the one that asked this question, if you can give me a more specific what track, what engine platform you're running, I'm more than happy to share some notes I have if I've been there before, or if I have a customer I could lean on that could give us a good baseline for that. We're here to answer your questions and make your life easier. So utilize this resource to the best of your ability. We try to be very accessible to everyone. So without further ado, we're going to jump into tonight's video and then come back to close it out. We hope you guys enjoy this quick little video with 5 mistakes to avoid doing weekly maintenance. Hope your season's off to a good start. We appreciate you tuning in to Monday Morning Quarterback. Last week we talked about kind of a weekly maintenance program. This week we're going to talk about 5 maintenance mistakes to avoid. So 5 things that I've seen come up over and over again, things that get overlooked that cause a DNF or something like that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the wiring on your race car. When I wire the cars, and I'm not... my main goal when I wire the cars is to make it functional and make it as clean as I can to not prevent issues. My wiring isn't as perfect. I see some of these guys' micros and it's like a work of art. I wish mine was that nice. But I always, when I'm connecting wires to switches, getting it tight, and then clear silicone to keep that screw from coming out. So when I'm doing my weekly maintenance, one of the things that's on my checklist is inspecting the wiring. So on these wiring kits we get from Gould, everything's in braided wire and really nice, but there's still some lines we have to run ourselves to the battery connector, to the fuel pump. I always make sure I put that in a protective sheeting and then shrink wrap the ends. But a couple things that can happen that'll just really ruin your night is if a switch wire or something comes loose. So I always, am pulling on these things. Okay, is everything good? I say I put the clear silicone on them, but I really inspect the wiring good. So that's one mistake to avoid when doing weekly maintenance. The second mistake to avoid is hard to reach bolts. And like on a micro, that might be your pedal assembly, the clutch cable, things like that you're like, that's tight, I know it's tight. Every few weeks you need to really go in there and verify, because we've had that catch us out before too, right? Something comes loose. These things vibrate. We're racing on dirt. They're rough tracks. Even if you get it tight, unless it's got a bunch of red Loctite on it, it still may come loose. So hard to reach bolts, that would be the number 2 thing. Making sure you're cycling through those fairly regularly. Number 3, kingpins greased and checking the slop in them. So if you're on a sprint car, the shim kits, needing to re-shim those from time to time, take all the slop you can out of that kingpin to front axle boss relationship. On the micros, making sure they're greased and that stays good. Take all the slop you can out of the front end. Also, while working on the front end, is making sure that all of your monoballs are lubed and none of them are bound up on any of your radius rods or anything of that nature. And The final one for me, and I'll kind of do, this will actually be like 4 and 5, is the axle nuts and spacers. I've seen this happen before. I actually saw it happen on the mile at Phoenix, and somebody wiped out big. Thankfully they didn't get hurt, but junked a race car. Different manufacturers might have slightly different tapers, so I would highly recommend that the company that's making your axle nuts is also making your spacers, because they're going to make sure everything mates correctly. But if those tapers are slightly different and you're not getting full contact, wheel center to axle spacer, cone spacer to nut, that can be very problematic and your wheel can come loose. So if you are constantly having a wheel come slightly loose that you know you got tight, I would always look and make sure that you can kind of see that the nuts coming in even contact with it all the way around. There might be like a spot where it's not, because that could be an issue. Another thing that I'm a big advocate of is keeping your rear axle and your axle nuts and any splined spacer graphited really well. So I like to use this DuPont Moly Coat. It's a dry graphite spray. It's pretty expensive. I think a can of this stuff's like 80 bucks, but it'll last a long time. Like I'm like on season 2 with it, and I will clean with a wire brush and reapplicate this every 2 or 3 races. It stays really good. Again, I'll spray it on the threads of the nuts. So I'll spray it in the ID, the threads of the nuts, and I'll spray it on the axle. If you want it to dry a little bit quicker, you can slightly heat these things up before you spray it, and then it'll dry really quick. But I get this stuff at SRI in Brownsburg. I don't know, you might be able to find it on Amazon, but it works really, really well. So those are the 5 big tips to avoid, 5 mistakes to avoid when doing your weekly maintenance. Please ring the bell for notifications and subscribe to our channel. It helps out what we're doing here, and we greatly appreciate y'all. Have a good week. Thank you guys for watching that video. Hope it added some value to you and your race team, and potentially prevents a DNF this year. Be on the lookout. We've got some new merch coming here in the near future, so keep an eye on our socials for some fresh new merch. And hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you back here next Monday at 9 o'clock.